Hello everybody and welcome to Star Wars On High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back with my review of Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view. It's been a little overwhelming blasting through all three of these books as fast as I have, but it was so worth it. It doesn't stop there though, as I'm almost finished with the latest anthology, Tales of Light and Life, so I can't take a break just yet. Oh, but with Return of the Jedi, just where to begin? I was so excited for this book's release, and it's the only book in the trilogy that I read out of order, but only slightly. I promised Adam Lance Garcia that I would read his story, The Veteran, first, and I did just that, and it was absolutely worth it too, but I'll save my thoughts on that for later in the video. Return of the Jedi, from a certain point of view, is a stronger entry in the trilogy, for me ranking higher than Empire but lower than A New Hope. I feel like this book kind of falls into the same issues that the previous books had, and that's what took the ranking down for me. That is, however, nobody's fault. I just feel that there were maybe too many stories on Tatooine, and again, it made me feel like I was reliving the same moment over and over and over. Still, I think it brought up some really important moments throughout the movie that I felt needed more information. Learning how the Sarlacc travels the galaxy I thought was hysterical, especially since, like, in the audiobook, the narrator does this West Coast surfer impression, and I couldn't help but laugh through the whole story. It was actually quite fun. Overall, though, I would say the Imperial side of things had the better stories with much more interesting storylines throughout. Two stories in particular that stand out to me would be The Man Who Captured Luke Skywalker by Max Gladstone and The Emperor's Red Guards by Gloria Chow. My first impressions were that Max wrote Luke Skywalker very well, and his demeanor throughout the story was great, giving himself up to the officer and then needing to convince him that he was a rebel and single-handedly took out his men. It was such a good laugh. And I loved the surprise at the end when he gets to hear Luke say, "I know, Father." It really brought it all together. But the Royal Guards stole the show for me. Reading about them losing their minds when they find out that Palpatine was killed was spot on. I know in Legends most of them went insane since they realized they had failed, so seeing it in action was pretty great, especially the race for the remaining ships in the hangar. It's definitely a story worth expanding on. But now I have to mention it, because The Veteran by Adam Lance Garcia was just perfect. Seeing what Dex's life was like during the times of Return of the Jedi was such a treat, and knowing that he was around to witness the chaos on Coruscant after the destruction of the second Death Star is really surreal. It also paints the Aftermath book in a new light for me. I really want this to lead into one last hurrah for Dex getting his own story, so fingers crossed for that. But I got the same feeling from Mike Chen's Brotherhood. His story, sharing the same name as his book, takes us on a trip with Anakin as he leaves his body to become a Force ghost, and it's such an emotional story. Knowing that he was turned and was able to reunite with Obi-Wan and Yoda and be able to see not only his son but his daughter too. Unfortunately, Anakin was hoping that Leia saw him, but later on in The Princess and the Scoundrel, we would see how she really feels towards Vader, which again makes it even worse and more heartbreaking. Of course, everything turns into a smile when we get to the last story that we were all waiting for. Return of the Wills by Tom Engelberger. Now, I expressed my interest in the story before having read the first two books when I mentioned my most anticipated stories for Return of the Jedi. After I made that video, I immediately went and read the first two. I had no idea that these were supposed to be comedic, nor did I know it would be about the beings that write the opening crawl. Return of the Wills, as well as the Wills stories from the first two books, are my absolute favorite part about Star Wars. Yes, it's serious, and yes, majority of the characters in-universe suffer great tragedies, but you can always find great humor within it. I love these stories, and the back and forth between the two characters is always a joy to read, especially since this time around they're making jokes about writing the crawls for the prequels. Definitely a fun Easter egg. Overall, Return of the Jedi, from a certain point of view, is a great addition and great finale to the original trilogy series. Out of the three books, this is my second favorite, but there will always be stories I go back and visit from all three books. For fans of Return of the Jedi, this is a must-buy, and it adds so much to the movie that we all know and love. While some stories seem to overlap too much, the characters and stories chosen definitely make up for it. But what were your thoughts? Did you have a favorite story from the book? Were there certain characters or certain stories you wish made an appearance? Let us know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you to everyone who stuck around to this point in the video, and we hope to see you again very soon.